Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of the Inside Track with Scottish Sun. I've got tipster Jim Delahunt here with me. We're going to go through Cheltenham, Newcastle, Doncaster, and over to Fairyhouse as we look at the Jim selections for this week and try and throw about a few ideas. First of all, Jim, Mr. Vango last week, we both fancied him, won really well for the Bradstocks, was a fantastic training performance, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic training performance, Robert. He'd been laid out for that race on the way to the Welsh National. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it was 3.5 miles on heavy ground. Absolutely perfect conditions for Mr. Vango. Remember, he'd won by 60 lengths at Exeter over 3.75 miles on heavy ground last season. He'd gone off 4-1 favourite for the Scottish Grand National. Pulled up that day. The ground was just too quick. We knew that. Everything was in his favour at Sandown. But you mentioned a great training performance by Sarah Bradstock. But what a ride by Nico de Boinville. The old criticism of Nico was that he wasn't really a jockey, he was a horseman. Well, he was a horseman last Saturday. He rode that horse round the outside, found the best ground all the way round, and had plenty left at the end. The horse has been put up £4 for Chepstow. That's neither here nor there with a big strapping chaser like that. He gets a £4 penalty anyway, so he'll be running off his correct mark. The key, though, Robert, you know and I know, is the ground at Chepstow. If it's traditional late December heavy ground at Chepstow, he'll be absolutely fine and fully justifiable of his 6-1 odds. But if it's good to soft good, then you can forget him. He's a heavy ground plodder. If he gets his conditions at Chepstow, 6-1 right now is going to look very good indeed.
Yeah. The other one we talked about was Whistle Stop Tour, which won the Paris Pike at Kelso. The change of riding tactics just worked a dream, didn't it? And they start thinking of maybe bigger things now.
I think they have to, and I know you were very keen on that horse, especially after the way that it had been ridden at Ayr, and even the owners, I think, were a bit disappointed with the way it had been ridden at Ayr. But it came good at Kelso, and bigger things have to be on the cards. I mean, would you be thinking anything in particular?
I would imagine they'll probably give him a quiet enough run up north first before they start thinking anything like that. But we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, one in famous colours. They like Kenny Alexander likes the big days, so you would like to think that they'll have a target for the spring in mind somewhere down the line.
You would think so, Robert, but it's such a big weekend. We have to do it all again this week, and I think we're going to start at Cheltenham.
Yeah, well, we've got the December Gold Cup. I mean, your selection in the paper the other day, Pinkerton, heartbreak was not declared yesterday. That one's staying in Ireland, so you had to go back into the race yesterday. Where have you landed up now?
Yeah, the perils of tipping on a Thursday morning when the declarations are at Thursday lunchtime. But that's the way it goes. Noel Mead had said he was coming with Pinkerton, changed his mind. He now goes to Leopardstown over Christmas. So we'll be watching out for that. Still think it's a young horse on the up and very much worth following. Winner at Galway, of course. And look out for him at Leopardstown. But I have had another look at the race. I'd had a real in-depth look at the race anyway. And the horse that had been niggling at the back of my mind was Le Patron, which is trained by the Moors. Josh doing such a great job now with his dad now that he's retired from the saddle. So Le Patron is the horse I'm thinking with each way. I mean, I'd already said in the column that Galaw is almost impossible to keep out of the frame, but you're just starting to think now that he's maybe £3 too high in the handicap. I'm sure he'll run a massive race. But Le Patron, visually impressive to me, and that's a big thing for me, visually impressive at Newbury. He'd been good enough to run in 3 Grade 1s last season. I think that's a big pointer to his chances this weekend. He's in handicap company. Now, Freddie Mitchell, his £5 claim, we always use this phrase that it's very useful. Well, it is very useful. On this occasion, though, he had the £5 claim last time, so it doesn't really make any difference. But the key thing here is weight. It still takes him down to 11 stone. And I think that is quite significant in a big race like this. The Moors are in tremendous form. Le Patron on the upgrade, just a young horse might just have the profile for this race, but at an each way price. So Le Patron each way for me, Robert. What are you thinking?
Well, I like your Le Patron shirt. I mean, a lot of people in it. I was maybe one of them. Thought when he won that Henry VIII, it was a bit of a fluke because of the ground at Sandown that day, and it seemed like a right plodders race. But he kind of proved he was a real deal at Newbury last time, didn't he?
He really did, and he just looks at a progressive horse and a horse that enjoys his racing, and I think that's key. As I said to you, I think, I mean, we talked about Gallo the last time. I was very big on him for the Paddy Power. I thought he ran an honourable race against what turned out to be a very well handicapped Il Ridotto. I still think he'll be there jumping the second last, absolutely no doubt about that. But just at the prices, and with Pinkerton staying in Ireland, I'm going to go each way Le Patron.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it's a race you could probably make a case for 7 or 8
You
and
could.
be right or wrong. I mean, I'm a stickler for the way these races are run. I mean, I know we're on the new course where the emphasis is a bit more stamina, but I still think you have to be up there in the first 3 or 4 in these big handicaps at Cheltenham. So, I mean, Grandeur Dam right at the very bottom has beat Galaw before, beat El Ridotto at Chepstow. Now, how much they had one eye on the Paddy Power, they might not have been properly tuned up that day, but was fourth last year in the race. And I think just the way the race will be run, that'll be up there in the front for Alan King. And I think, same as you, I think it might have an each way chance, but to me it looks a wide open race. You could stick a pin in several of them, couldn't you?
Yeah, you really could, and you could also make a case for either of the Paul Nicholls horses. Il Ridotto's the obvious one. With one of the Freddies, we'll get Freddie Gingle and Freddie Mitchell riding. We'll also get Freddie Gordon, not in that race, but all the young Freddies are doing really well at the moment in the saddle. But yeah, very, very open. I think both of us on each way. Hopefully, one of us will hit the frame.
Yeah. Then earlier on in the Cheltenham card, there's a mare's handicap chase. I mean, we know you like the Skeltons on a big Saturday. I believe it's one of their horses that you fancy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Sandown evidence last week shows that the Skeltons have got some very well handicapped young horses, and I think if you follow racing during the week like we do as well, then you can see them winning every day. But Coco Mademoiselle, I'll try that again, Robert. Coco Mademoiselle is the Dan and Harry Skelton representative in this mare's handicap chase. Now, hurdles have been her bag up to now, but they all go over fences eventually with the Skeltons. And I thought this one ran a really good race at Ayr in the spring, is now giving weight to all bar one on this handicap chase. But she looked very progressive last year. I thought the Ayr race for their handicap, it's a big handicap hurdle at Ayr on Scottish Grand National Day. That looked a good race. That showed that she's got pace. I think they think she's probably pretty well handicapped off 1-2-2. When you look at races like this and you see them near to top weight, you worry that they have to give a lot of weight away, but you have to start thinking on handicap ratings. And 1-2-2, I don't think is harsh at all for this 6-year-old going over fences. And I'm hoping that she's not too bad a price as well. So Coco Mademoiselle for me in the 113, the mare's handicap chase.
At 3 o'clock, we've got the Albert Bartlett hurdle where Skyjack Hijack's going to go off favourite. He's been one of the horses of the season so far. I think he's had 6 wins in the bounce, shot up about 35, 40 pounds in the handicap. Do you think he's a solid favourite, Jim, or can we try and take him on?
I think here, Robert. Sean Quinlan rides them like a dream. They do always seem to have something up their sleeve. They might still have, but these winning runs tend to come to an end eventually. I know that you like Jet Blue. You can tell me about that in a second. But the one I'm going to throw in here is About Damn Time for the Greenall Guerriero team. They don't normally overface their horses. I think they're probably putting this horse in to see how good it is, and it might just be good enough to get in the frame. The thing that worries me here is there's not 8 runners. I'd really like a nice 8-runner race to get on this one each way. If you can find 3 places, and I think you think that Betfred are going to go 3 places on this race, then About Damn Time might be the one to be on. It's hard to make a winning case for him, but I think it will run a huge race. And if it's a big price on Saturday morning, might just be worth 2 small stakes. But About Damn Time for me, but About Damn Time, Jet Blue maybe won this race. What do you think?
Well, possibly. I mean, I'm kind of similar to you. I think Skyjack Hijack, you've got to love him. The way he jumps is a hugely admirable horse, but horses tend not to win 7 races in a row. The highest
Yeah,
rated horse he's beat so far was rated 125 at Aintree a couple of runs ago. He was getting £12 off it. This
yeah.
should be a step up. I mean, this race has had winners of the Albert Bartlett in March in it before. Now, I mean, doesn't look like there's any superstars in it as of yet. A couple of them have only run once and whatever. But the dark horse for me might be the one Jet Blue out of France, which
Yeah.
won a race at Auteuil. Sorry, it was second to a horse called Eight Galt Wings out of Toy a while back. That horse has since won again at a Toy. Catherine Tisdall's went and bought it, moved it to David Cotton, who, as we know, has come over here and won races at Cheltenham before, won at the festival with Easy's
Yeah,
Land in the cross country. This horse is only rated £4 below Skyjack Hijack. Now, how they equate the French rating compared the French form to the British form, it's always tricky. But at 5 to 1, if you can get somebody betting three places, I think 5 to 1 might be an each way bet to nothing. Just simply
yeah,
because we're thinking this one's got to come to an end at some point.
yeah, very much so. I can see your logic there, Robert, and good luck with that one. The other big meeting on Saturday, Doncaster, and there's a big 50,000 handicap chase at 2:05. It's over 3 miles, and the one I fancy here is Pull Again Green. Are you going to go against me here?
Well, I like Charlie Uberales, who is right at the bottom of the handicap for Diane Sayre, who is in fantastic form at the moment. She's banging in winners left, right, and centre. It was third in the Great Yorkshire Chase back in January. There are a few of these that he faces tomorrow in behind. He's £2 lower here. They ran him in the Grimthorpe a couple of months later, and he actually ran really, really well until 3 out, where he just didn't stay the 3 mile two. His legs
Yeah.
just turned to jelly, and he was sensibly pulled off. He went off 9 to 2 second favourite that day. Now, he's 20 to 1 at the moment. I think each way is a cracking each way bet. We know he likes the course. We know he should get the 3 miles. And there's no rain forecast at Doncaster. It's quickening up all
No.
the time, I believe. So if it gets the quickening ground will help him as well. And what
Yeah,
about your
very much so.
selection?
And 15 runners, we know that a lot of the bookies will go 4 places, so you should be okay there at with Charlie Uberales. The quickening ground's a key thing for me as well. Pull Again Green, I think he's a horse that's best on good ground. Fergal O'Brien's horse, he's trundling along very nicely indeed. I'm not convinced he's a really natural steeplechaser, but he has lots of ability. I don't think the Doncaster fences are the stiffest in the country. I think that's key to this. And also the fact that Fergal's putting Jack Hogan up, who takes £3 off Pull Again Green here, who hasn't been getting a break from the handicapper. That could be very, very significant. Liam Harrison normally rides the horse. He's going to Newcastle, but he's only going to Newcastle to ride in a £8,900 red drum qualifier at 122. So I think this is a conscious decision to put Jack Hogan up on this horse in a £50,000 handicap. Small margins in these big races sometimes, Robert. I think Pull Again Green, again, at a decent each way price, will go very well indeed. So Pull Again Green for me in the big race there. But the one I want to mention earlier on at Doncaster, I know I mentioned this to you yesterday, the Kaluki Kid for Nicky Richards, whose horses, despite poor old Nicky being laid up at the moment, his horses are in absolutely fantastic form. He'll be loving this, even though he's recovering from some very, very painful injuries sustained in a Gallop's fall. The Kaluki Kid, I thought, ran a lovely, lovely race at Ayr last time in a novices limited handicap chase here over 2.5 miles. Danny McMenamin in great form. He's in the saddle. So the Kaluki Kid is the one for me earlier at Doncaster in the 12.25.
Well, just before that, if we go up to Newcastle at 12:17, we've got Tommy's Law running in novice hurdle. Will this be the day? He's been second 5 times in the bounce. Is this his day?
It's got to be his day, surely, Robert. It's got to be his day. I'm just not sure what the price is going to be. I think he's going to be pretty, pretty short to win that novices hurdle at Newcastle. Good luck if you can get a decent price, but surely to goodness, yes, I'm with you. Tommy's Law has got to win at last.
Oh, is he a betting proposition though? I mean, even if you can get a decent price, can you fully trust him, or would you want to see him win first before you then?
No, I think if he's a reasonable price, and I know all these things are relative, we'll have a look at the prices in the morning, but I think Tommy's Law is good enough to win that race. I've had a look through it, and like you, I think surely this is a day for Tommy's Law in the 12:17 at Newcastle on Saturday, but not a card I'm going to get heavily involved in otherwise.
Well, I've got one I like at Newcastle at 2:32 from a stable I absolutely love as we're running up to Christmas. The Sue Smith stable, and we talked about this the other day, Jim, when we were discussing what we were going to talk about. Sue Smith, who appears on the race card now with Joel Parkinson, who's Harvey Smith's grandson, have got a joint
Yeah.
license now, so it won't just be Sue Smith on your race card. But the month of October, you watch the Sue Smith horses and they're flying out the back of the television. You go watching them, you watch them on the racetrack, and, there's not a pair of binoculars big enough to see these things. Then you get into November and they start running a wee bit better, and then you get into December and all of a sudden they just burst to life. And I've just been watching the Sue Smith horses the last few weeks. I think she's had 9 placed from her last 17 runners, 2 winners in the last fortnight. They're just getting ready to bubble up. I mean, is that just the way they train, Jim? They've done this for years, haven't they? They just train them, get them to a level of fitness, and then get them fitter on the track. And then from first run to second run or second run to third run, they take a huge leap forward, don't they?
Yeah, and Sue Smith, who is Sue Smith in her own right, is married to Harvey Smith, who's Harvey Smith in his own right. So the Smith married the Smith. But I think it all comes down to the way Harvey gets involved with these horses as well. Harvey's getting on a bit now, and Sue's taking on some extra help, as you said. But no, I think it is the way they train their horses. They get them fit, whether it's legal or not, they get them fit on the race course, and they come good at a certain time of year. But like you, Just Jess seems to have an excellent chance. And also Alan Doyle in the saddle claiming £5, and he's a young jockey getting his opportunities with Lucinda Russell as well. And I know that she's used young Lucinda Russell jockeys in the past, Sue Smith, and good luck to Alan Doyle. I thought he rode a lovely race on a winner at Musselburgh the other day. A jockey, he's not that young anymore, but he still claims he's 5. And good luck to you as well with Just Jess, because I know you picked that one out, and fingers crossed it's going to run well and win.
I was just going to make my case for Just Jess. I mean, it ran at Southall 3 weeks ago, and it actually ran really, really well until 3 out, where it just blew up. The lack of
Yeah,
fitness just blew up. That's what horses do. It's got a bit of form for Newcastle last year, second to a horse called Tune in a Box, giving that horse £2. That horse is now rated 124. Just Jess tomorrow is £11 lower than its last win in hurdles, Matt, and Alan Doyle's taken off another 5. So this horse looks
yeah.
primed to win. The way they train, you would expect it to take a huge step forward for its last outing. The only thing is, I'm slightly wary. Rebecca Menzies has got one in the race. It's first time in a handicap that has not been
Yeah.
cited in 3 runs and steps up and trip to 3 miles. So I'd be a little bit wary of that one. But looking at the rest of the race, I think Just Jess is primed to win this weekend.
Yeah, very much so. Good luck with that. Fairyhouse is the big meeting in Ireland, and as always over there, a very, very busy card. They never have problems with declarations in these meetings. And a beginner's chase at 11:30, which features the comeback of Majborough, which, of course, the Triumph Hurdle winner for Willie Mullins. Mark Walsh is in the saddle on that one. Willie runs 3 in the race. He also has Asian Master with young Tom Costello taking £7 off that one. And he's got another one in that with Paul Townend on, that's Tully Hill. So he's got a really, really strong hand in that. And just a quick mention for Henry de Bromhead, whose horses continue to win everything that they're entered in. And Theatre Native, right down at the bottom of the card, I think that's got to have a chance here under Darrow O'Keefe. But it's good to see Majborough back, and it could shake up the Arco market if it goes and wins, Robert.
Yeah, it could. I mean, are you surprised that they've gone straight over fences, or you're not too surprised that they didn't go stay hurdling?
I'm never surprised with Willie Mullins. I just go along with whatever he does. And good luck to them with Masborough. They obviously think it jumps a fence. It's only a 4-year-old, but straight into a beginner's chase. My goodness, there's a few 4-year-olds in that race as well. But I'll be watching with interest without having any financial interest. Always interesting to see what they do. But as I say, keep an eye on that Theatre Native down the bottom for Henry de Bromhead.
And have you got any selections at Fairyhouse tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going to have one bet. It may sound completely mad because it's an old chaser going back over hurdles, but it's a horse called Stealthy Tom. It's trained by Enda Bolger, who's much better known for winning over the cross-country fences, or as in Ireland they call them the banks, mostly at Punchestown. But this horse is running in a division of the handicap hurdle. It's at 212. Mark Walsh, who's also on Majborough earlier, is riding because it is in the JP McManus colours. Now, this horse is going back over hurdles, and his hurdles mark, wait for this, is £44 lower than his chase mark. That is over 3 stone, which is absolutely astonishing. If he's anywhere near his best, which there's no reason he shouldn't be, because he ran third 3 weeks ago in a cross-country race, I think Stealthy Tom is absolutely nailed on. I'm just not sure how many other people have noticed that. I can't possibly be the only one, Robert. So we'll see 212 at Fairyhouse tomorrow. Stealthy Tom from a ridiculously low hurdles mark. There must be a reason that's running there. And if it's anyone near its best, I think it'll win.
And then moving on to Sunday, we've got the return of jumps at Windsor. So for the first time since 2005. So we'll not have any course form to go on. I mean, is that just a watch and enjoy card for you?
It is at the moment. I mean, the last time I looked, we're recording this quite early on a Friday, and the last time I looked, the fields weren't too large, but hopefully that'll have picked up. Good luck to Windsor getting back underway with the jumps. I haven't picked anything out at the moment, but I'll definitely have something in the diary column on Sunday in the Scottish Sun, Robert. And I'll also be talking about Carlisle, where there's a horse running there in the 12:25. It has been declared, and that's Fia Funach, and it's for Martin Todhunter. Sean Quinlan in the saddle. Martin had a really good horse win a race at Hexham the other day, a horse called Tommy Combats, which I thought would find the trip too sharp, but it didn't. It won. I think it's going to be a real good horse over 2.5, 3 miles. So already want to chase it too. Fia Funuk is a big, lolloping, gangling horse, which will be better on heavy ground. So the softer, the better at Carlisle. But the very fact that Martin's declared him, I think he'll win this race. He's handicapped to win it. The softer the ground, the better. But the form he showed last time suggests that he'll handle quicker ground. And as long as there's something not too pacey in the race, I think Fia Funuk is going to be a good bet at Carlisle on Sunday. I'm also going to put up the case in the column on Sunday, Robert, for Banbridge in the King George at Kempton on Boxing Day, because it might be worth taking an early price. He's 8-10 to 1 at the moment. I'll be making my case for Banbridge. And of course, last week we tipped up a double on the all-weather on the Monday, a couple of Craig Lidster horses, which won, I think, 11 to 1 and 8 to 1. And that combined for 107 to 1 double. So always worth having a look at the diary column on a Sunday in the Scottish Sun.
That's great, Jim. Thanks very much, and best of luck with your bets this weekend. Cheers.
Thanks, Robert. You too.